all my life's been buff, but I've worked out my whole life. You just see me in the monkey suits. You don't realize what's going on underneath.
Are you trying to get your brother into it? Has he been working out too, Michael Buffer?
You know, the thing about Michael is he's so good looking. He's got a model's body. I train 2 hours a day. Michael takes that glass of wine and works out like this.
He's a pretty boy, you said, huh?
He's, you know what? He's God's gift, man. That guy was blessed. He can go to the store, buy the suit off the rack, and it fits. I got to buy it and chop it up 6 different ways.
Did he get you into being a blow-by-blow announcer, or I mean, an announcer?
You know, it really was my own ambition because, as you may or may not know, Michael and I met 25 years ago. We're long-lost half-brothers. And Random House just released my book, It's Time, a year or so ago, which I give a real in-depth story. In '88 or so, I saw this handsome guy come out doing Let's Get Ready to Rumble. My grandfather was champion of the world in 1921. And I thought to myself, you know, I'm such a huge fan of boxing. And then I became a huge fan of this guy, but the thing that really struck me weird, and I got butterflies in my stomach, was the name was Buffer on the bottom of the screen. And back in those days, like all of us did, we looked in phone books to see if our last name was anywhere. I never saw my last name in a phone book, so I'm thinking, what's up with this? Long story cut short, Michael and I are long-lost half-brothers. We came together 4 years later. I sold 2 companies to manage his career and become his business partner in the products and everything that we created together. And my whole goal also was to be an announcer, but we agreed that I wouldn't do boxing because there really was no money in it. He was the only one really making any money, aside from Jimmy, of course. And with that being said, I thought, fine, something will come along. Well, I've been in martial arts since I was 12, and I had my own share of fun. And when the UFC came on the scene, I knew that that was for me, and I fought for that job, and that was one of the best poker hands I ever played, and I've been in the octagon for 19 years, love it. I love working for Dana White, for Tita Brothers, it's incredible.
Wow, what a blessing, man.
It's a blessing.
What a blessing. Yeah. Now let's get into the biggest fight of our generation, Mayweather versus Manny Pacquiao, May 2nd. I gotta ask you, man, how does it play out?
I'm going to answer your question with total honesty and with a little bit of a segue. I say the same thing everybody asks me in UFC fights. May the best man win. Now the reason I say that is because for me, I'm an equal opportunity announcer. When I'm throwing my passion on the octagon floor for those 2 warriors, Saturday night, May 2nd, when I'm watching these 2 great warriors going at it, it's 2 of the greatest boxers in history, which they will prove to be when they're done with their careers, if not now. I want to see a great fight. And I'm going to see a strong fight. I know the first 6 rounds is going to be a pure 6 brawl. And I believe it's going to go the full length to a decision. And may the best man win.
Can I at least get keys to victory for each fighter?
Well, obviously with Floyd, with his great ability, his speed, his ability to backpedal and move and go forward and side to side. If he goes down to the right, I can see Manny coming up with a power punch, right? If Manny doesn't cut off the ring, Manny's got to cut the ring off on him. He's got to be able to get in his face, get his head in his chest, and start throwing punches. The only way what's going to happen is to cut that ring off. If it becomes a track meet and they're throwing, but I believe Floyd is going to go stand toe-to-toe with Manny more than we've ever seen him stand toe-to-toe with anybody in this fight. This is one of the reasons why I can't wait to see it. We're going to see a heightened level of Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao that I believe we've never seen before. Because when you fight the best, you become the best. In this case, you have 2 of the best fighting each other, which is only going to make each other better. Yeah. So it's going to be a war, brother.
Great breakdown, man. Last question, man. So, depending on who wins this fight decisively, you've seen all the fights, man. Where do you rate these fighters? Top 20, top 5, the winner of this fight?
Well, I think at this point, I mean, you're talking about a championship fight. You're talking about belts either maintained on one person. It's either going to be Ann Still or Ann New. So you're talking about the number 1, the number 2 best fighters in the world. And I believe that's the way it should stand at that point. And therefore, it's about all comers coming at that point. Now, economically speaking, if Manny wins the fight, you know we're going to see number 2.
Yeah.
Mayweather wins that, you know we're going to see a trifecta. So what do we have here? Mega gazillion billions of dollars, man. So that's not in their mind. Sure, it's in their minds. They're in there to fight each other on an honest playing ground. But the people that are in the background pulling all the strings for this fight, you know that they're thinking about the future too.
Yeah.
It's business.
As far as the atmosphere, is there any UFC fight that you think could even compare to like the electric show and hype surrounding this?
Well, you got to realize that these 2, this is a situation where it's actually bringing the world together. This fight is making people everybody and their mother is going to watch this fight that doesn't watch boxing. It's also going to create a surge in boxing, which thank God is so good for the sport. So, in answer to your question, we are getting a tremendous amount of marketing and phenom activity out of Conor McGregor, out of Dublin, Ireland. Ricky Hatton used to come to this country, and 30% of the tickets, give or take, were Irish fans that came over from Ireland. Yeah. Conor McGregor's coming to this country, and 10 to 20%, and I could be off, are coming to the country from Ireland to watch him fight. How often do you see individuals like that? Ronda Rousey in the female division. She's amazing, but she's becoming amazing in so many different areas. Her foray into motion pictures and the marketing and the sponsorship she's getting. And she's becoming more than just an octagon fighter. She's becoming a completely huge brand. So in answer to your question, in the UFC, there are many fighters that bring the electricity. In the old days, Chuck Liddell. When I say old days, a few years ago, every time Chuck Liddell walked in an octagon or walked into the arena, it was electric. Randy Couture, winning the championship at 44 years old, I think it was, oldest ever. It was electric. There's so many electric moments. Speaking for myself and probably for people like my brother Michael also, we see so many great moments that we probably forget more than we can remember. So yes, there's been a lot of electricity, but this is the biggest, most electric fighting event in the history of fighting sports. Mixed martial arts and boxing are apples and oranges. They are fighting sports, but they are two different fighting sports. You will never hear me compare the two. I don't believe in it. I believe in respecting each for what they are and how great they are. And I'm a huge boxing fan. Huge.
Now I have to contradict that though and ask you to compare the two with Laila Ali and Ronda Rousey. There's been talk, TMZ kind of started like
It's real simple. You ready?
Please.
Marcus Queensberry, 2 weapons, boxing ring. Ronda's proven to be becoming a very good boxer, but Laila Ali's a boxer. There is a size differential there too, if I'm not mistaken. So Laila Ali wins in the boxing ring. Okay. Walking into the octagon, Laila Ali will be done in less than a minute.
Less than a minute. Wow.
You're talking over 40 weapons. If Laila Ali hands her a digit, a widget, an arm, a leg, or a foot, you don't give that to Ronda Rousey. You don't do that. She will take it, beat you back with it.
There you have it.
Hey Bruce, what do you think about Al Heyman taking a little bit of a page out of Dana White's book and providing free, boxing events on free TV? What do you think about that? Do you think that's going to help the sport grow? Will it be a success?
Well, I hope it does, and I think it's really good, and I understand they're getting pretty decent ratings, and it's more power to it. So, bottom line, yes, it's a good move. He's got a lot of money behind him from whoever his investors are, and all I ask for is that he pay those fighters what they deserve, and he does a good job of it. That's all I ask. And I think he will.